Hey, Hal here. I want to talk a little bit about our partnership with OnX Hunt. I've been using it for a while now, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a very techie person, but the OnX app is it's a real time saver. I remember the days when we poured over topo maps everywhere we was going to go and stuff, and I don't do that quite as much anymore. Where it's really helped me is scouting, whether it's deer scouting, a moose, or even turkey hunting in the spring, which I do. It really helps out. I don't have to spend as much time running around the truck burning up the gas. I'm just basically using my OnX. Got it on my phone. Don't even carry a GPS anymore. So I just download the areas where I'm going to be hunting, whether it's up north moose hunting, and I use it mostly on the satellite imagery. I like to see the cuts and the clearings and the turkey hunting, the hidden fields and stuff. But everybody's using it now, from the game wardens to land surveyors, and just a great tool. And with our partnership with OnX, if you use a code BWB, you're going to receive 20% off on your first premium or elite memberships. And you just go to onxmaps.com/hunt. You'll be glad you did. Good luck on the trail.
This is the Big Woods Bucks podcast. Come explore the big woods and timber in North America with your host, Maine Master Guide and deer tracking expert Hal Blood. Listen to Hal and co-host Joe Cruzy as they unlock the secrets to big woods whitetails. Each episode will provide valuable insights in the tried and true system Hal has used for the last 40 years to scout, locate, and hunt mature big woods bucks. Listen and laugh as the crew discusses Hal's legendary adventures and learn how to apply a lifetime's worth of lessons from the big woods to your own hunting and outdoor adventures.
Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood, and I got a bunch of co-hosts today. Joe Cruzy's not here. He had to cut out last night. So we'll start down on the end with Neil Pendleton. We got Lee. We got good Lee Shands here. Jeff Parody. Did I say that right? Paradis.
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. The Polish version of paradise. Okay. What's your name? Anybody know you?
I don't know. Rick Labby.
Rick Labby. We got Big Ben Allen.
Quiet.
We got Old Guide Mike. We got the White Mountain Buck Tracker, Brad Willie, down on the end. He's cold, so he's got covered up with his wool jacket there.
All right, and we're sitting at Huntstock 2024. We got an amazing crowd. Are you guys excited to hear this podcast? All right, well, to give you a little intro here of what we're going to talk about, we're going to go through a few different topics. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are, our background into hunting. We're going to talk about our recap of our 2023 hunting season. We're going to talk about our goals for 2024. But before we do, we need to give you an update, because everyone's been asking, right, Brad?
Yep.
Oh, that's first?
Oh, we're going to kick it off first, yeah. We're going to get right into it.
All right, you're up, Brad.
All right, so the update. Everybody's asking about our wool coats. This is the 2024 edition of the Big Woods Bucks Tracker Jacket. All right. This is mostly 90% of it's very similar to our previous coat, okay? But listening to you guys and to our fellow team members, we're always aiming to improve, right? So these are the new additions, all right? So instead of embroidery, as you can see here, we have leather patches now, all right? It's on the cape, and it's on the actual tracker jacket, so back here, okay? We still have the slash pockets underneath, okay? Nothing's changed there. Nothing's changed with the superior quality of our wool, okay, which is 100% virgin wool. It's pre-shrunk. Pre-shrunk is key, okay? That adds durability, resistance to all the elements, okay, and insulation as well, all right? Going down, two other changes that we've added, okay? is a front slip, is what we call it. So the zipper ends here and the front slip. So if you're going over a log, you have more flexibility to your jacket. You know, your thigh comes up, all right? And on the side, we have side vents. That adds also in addition to flexibility, okay? Another addition, all right, we got a couple comments, you know, oh, it feels a little boxy, so we added a taper just below the chest. So if you still got your barrel-chested dude, all right, or girl, all right, we started it right here on the taper, all right? So it's got a little bit more of that custom fit, but not tight at all, all right? Also, we added a little bit of length to the sleeve and a little bit of length to the bottom of the coat, all right? Worked hard on these, made in the USA, all right? So nothing overseas here. Yep.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it from Made in the USA.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a bit. We understand frustrations from the customers, but it takes a bit to provide you with the best quality tracker jacket available on the market. So we feel that we've done that, and they're going to be released very soon. Okay, we're looking at September 15th. So you're going to have them in hands before hunting season.
All right, who's excited to get one of these jackets?
Yeah,
All right.
don't we have we got a sign-up sheet down at the booth if you want to be emailed when they're ready, your
Yep.
size is ready or something?
Yeah, you got it, Hal. So what we're doing for kind of a show special, okay, is you try these on. We've got our sizes down there. Try them on, see what fits for you. You give us your email, all right? And what happens from there is when these are done, we reach out to you, all right? And just like you bought it at the show, you won't get charged for shipping when you order it online, all right? So you're going to save
Good
yourself
deal,
some money.
good deal.
Yep. Yep.
All right. You check with Chris on that first?
Yeah, we're just going to wing it.
Brad's in charge of the wool, Hal.
Okay, that's right. Brad's calling the shots.
All right. Well, and then thank you for sharing that, Brad. He has another seminar. He might have to hop in down at the classroom. We're hoping Brad can hop back with us, but he doesn't want to leave anybody hanging. So he's going to be talking about optics down there, but hopefully he can drag everyone up here and get him back on stage so he can talk about his background and his season. So we're going to start it down here. So Hal and I, we already shared at the New York show, we already shared the recap of our hunting season, our goals. So we're just pretty much going to be commentating and, you know, just, I guess, being the MCs, right, Hal?
That's right.
All right.
Because we did one in New York, and that's a podcast, so this will be a separate podcast from what we did in New York.
So yeah, so we're going to go through and kick it off. And one of the things we always get asked about, but we don't always get a chance to share it as a group to everyone on a podcast, is talking about how we got into hunting, a little bit about our background, you know, whether it was who got us into hunting, how we got into hunting, or when we got into hunting. So we're going to kick it off and work down this way. So we're going to have Lee, you're going to kick it off and just tell us a little bit about your background and getting into hunting. We're going to try to keep it brief because we have an hour to get through a lot of stuff here. So just give us a little bit about yourself, Lee.
All right, so my mom and dad were just kids when they had me. They weren't bad parents, they just were kids. But when I got up to my teen years, my dad started spending a lot of time with me, and he took me up to Cocaggio in 1979. I was 13 years old, and I shot my first 200-pound buck, big rack, had everything you could hope for. It was my first deer, and so I've been hooked ever since.
That was easy.
He said keep it brief. I always pay attention.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it. All right.
I can go on if you want me to.
He wanted to leave extra time for
Lee.
Jeff.
We know.
Yeah, we know Jeff's excited to tell his long history of how he got into hunting, so we should probably give him a mic.
I was 8.
Oh, Jeff, tell us more. Come on, tell us more.
Right, for God's sake.
This is a good time, huh, Jeff?
Oh, God, it's just horrible.
It's embarrassing being your friend. It really is.
All right.
You're not supposed to laugh at yourself, Jeff.
I know, I can't help it. It's been a
We
long
we
night.
see that.
We may have to skip Jeff here. I don't know. This isn't going very well.
Oh, this is... You can't compose? Hold on a second. I take a deep breath.
We can come back around.
I'll give him some time. They gave me more time, I guess.
All right.
So anyway, the rest of my story is I had a great job. I was a manager for Hannaford Supermarkets good job. I had 4 kids depending on me, but guess what? I hated going to work every day. So I ended up, it forced me, I used my guide's license, and when I was in my early 30s, I started guiding, and so now I get to hunt and guide. And Jeff, have you got yourself straightened out yet?
Well, I'm just how young was your parents? It sounded like they must have been 6 or 7 when they had you.
No, but my mom was
parents
my mom
were-
was 16 when she had me.
Okay, all right. It was just kids. I'm going, kids. All right. So, it's crazy, huh? So, my inspiration. I come from no hunting family at all, so I'm pretty much self-taught. And I was 8 years old when I was in the woods, you know, spearing frogs and so on and so forth. I just had the love. It was just a motivation and drive that I've always had. And I got into bow hunting when I was very young, probably just 9, 10 years old. And I've always been a bow hunter my whole entire life. And like as I graduated further on into it, I've got the opportunity to travel. It's comforting being around guys like these guys and guys that I meet during the course of the day at the shows. It's humbling and comforting that you can meet guys like-minded like yourself that are hardcore hunters. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I enjoy all the stories and listening to it. The passion is great. Like Hal, I tell the story all the time. I never knew who Hal Blood was. I mean, probably 5 years prior to meeting him. I never followed anybody. So,
Well, that explains a lot.
yeah, just throwing that out there. Then it's pretty cool hanging around with guys that, you know, have the same motivation and drive and the passion.
I wish we could say the same about you.
All right. Your shot.
I guess Jeff's going to be the punching bag today, by the sounds of it.
Well, I'm going to get on my phone.
You done?
Is that?
You done?
Oh, I want to take a picture of us.
So, all right, Rick, you might as well start in.
All right, so I was about 7 years old, and I met this guy that moved up from Texas, and he actually rented a camp next door to my grandparents. His name was Dick Drysdale. Maybe some of you heard of him. Nope, I didn't. I got the hat in Wyoming, so I love it out west. But anyway, so I was 7 years old, and he moved up here, and he was a big-time hound hunter. He wanted to get into hound hunting, and he didn't know anybody. And like I said, I was just a kid, so he asked me to go along, and I literally hunted with that guy. Back then, you could run bears in the spring, and then we'd switch over to coon hunting all fall and run hounds, and then we'd run bobcats all winter. So I got into hound hunting when I was 7 years old, and I literally went with Dick every single day that we could hunt until I was probably 15 years old. And we deer hunted together. Dad would come with us, because I didn't come from a big hunting family either. My grandfather hunted, and we'd go over to camp. We had that family hunting camp, but he was never a deer tracker. He never even really sat in a stand, you know. He'd just go hike around with his 30-30. If he'd come on a deer, he'd shoot it. So I kind of got into the tracking thing myself, you know. When I was like 12 years old, I think I started track my first deer, and then I ended up killing my first deer when I was 13, but I didn't actually kill one track until I was like 15. I killed my first buck when I was tracking, and after that, that was it. I couldn't really ever sit in a stand again. I always wanted to be on a track. I was always wondering what was over the next hill, and nowadays I just work my way, running my own business, and I've worked my way through life and got to the point where I can hunt, you know, out west, take 5 or 6 trips a year, and enjoy life and do what I want. I bought a cabin in Wyoming, and my wife and I, we go out and hunt elk and mule deer and antelope and stay out there, you know, several times a year, and couldn't be better.
All right, so for me, it goes back as far as I can remember. I grew up just down the road from my grandfather and my father, and they kind of hunted close enough to the house. So when I was a little kid, I'd go outside, and too young to go hunting. In Maine, we had to be 10 years old to go. So I'd go out in the yard, and I'd listen to them all through November and listen for those shots. And I remember the first time that my father brought home a buck that I can remember, I was at a buddy's house, and he was so excited that he pulled into my buddy's house. I was just up the road from our house, and I was so upset that I'd missed hearing the shot because I'd spent years out there listening for him to shoot a deer with my grandfather, and so he pulled in. So ever since then, it hooked me, and I'm sure that I drove my neighbors crazy because from then on, every time I found a few boards or whatever, I'd be lugging them down into the woods and building stands on our property, their property, everybody's property. So, and other than making the neighbors mad, I really never looked back and just kept on going from there. But that's where it got started for me.
Yeah, I didn't really grow up in a hunting family. My uncles hunted, so when I was around, I don't know, 12 or 13, my dad would stick me with my uncles, and I'd go hunting with them, and all I did was drive. I was the driver. So the only deer I shot were dead ones, you know. So I did that, I mean, because I fell in love with the hunting thing, and so I kind of put up with that for a while. But I finally decided this isn't for me, going with these guys and, you know, dragging their deer and drive. So anyway, we were a poor family, you know, back in them days. A lot of people were that hunted all the time because you hunted for the meat, huh? It wasn't about horns. It wasn't. It was about the meat. So I got an old 12-gauge shotgun. I'm gonna make this short, Hal, I promise. I got an old gauge, single barrel 12-gauge shotgun when I think I was 15, but I couldn't afford bullets, huh? So there was a guy that owned a store down the road, and I used to go down there and buy. Remember Frosty root beer? Anybody? Who remembers Frosty root beer? So anyway, I'd always go down and buy Frosty root beer. So he kept all the empty bottles. Back in them days, you got 2 cents for a bottle. He used to keep them down in the bottom of his store. So he liked to drink a lot, and he was a barber too, and he'd get in his barber chair about noontime, and he'd sleep. So I'd sneak downstairs and steal Frosty root beer bottles. And I'd bring them up, and I'd wake him up, and he'd say, "Hey, Tom, I got some bottles. Can I cash them in?" So I'd cash the bottles in, eh? And then I'd take that 8 cents or whatever it might have been, and I would go to the hardware store. Well, they would sell individual shells then because everybody was poor, eh? So I'd buy whatever I had for money. I'd buy a couple shotgun shells, and then I'd take them shotgun shells, and that I'd be able to go hunting. And of course, I shot anything I saw, but so I got addicted real quick when I could go by myself. And then, you know, and then time went on, and I got Larry's book, 69, I believe, right, guys? 69. I got Larry's book, and I read it, and I was a deer tracker before I even went. I was convinced that I could track deer, and I could, huh? I could. So that's my story in a nutshell.
You better make sure you're a damn good shot with only 2 shells. You'll learn to shoot straight.
Well, and then Mike, that was actually a great piece that we probably missed out on. It leads me to think of something is, you know, getting into tracking. So I know, like Ben, you were saying you started off building tree stands, right? So I guess to even kind of go back through, I mean, did you start off tracking, Lee, when you started?
I ended up, my first deer that I got, we actually did track it, but it was more or less an accident. We saw a big track, and it stayed right in a trail off the road, and we went in a couple hundred yards, and he had bedded down in there with a doe. She jumped up, and when she did, that was back when I was a 13-year-old kid, never shot a deer. I was going to shoot her, so I flicked the safety off my gun, and when she took off running, the big buck got up. He didn't want to be separated from her, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to shoot him instead. So, yeah, I ended up, it was kind of tracking, but not really, and it was a good one to start on. That's what really got me hooked was when you're a kid, you're not that bright, and my father and all my uncles and my grandfather, they hunted, and, you know, they shot a bunch of deer, and they'd shoot some small bucks, but when I shot that buck, I looked down, and I was so stupid, I thought, I bet that's the biggest buck anybody's ever shot. That's what I thought. It was a nice buck. It was over 200 pounds with a big rack, but I was convinced in my mind that I might have just shot the world record, so I was hooked.
And then we'll risk by giving Jeff the mic here.
So I was 8.
Right.
Neil?
He's trying to spread.
Last but not least, but I guess I...
Yeah,
Well, no, we're going to get to you. I want you to do everything at once. Don't worry, Brad. Yeah.
Are you making fun of me down there?
No, Brad's feeling like he's
punch
left
you
out.
in the eye.
He's feeling like he's left out down there. But I want you to get the tracking stuff in real quick, and then, Brad, you can do the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah, so, Jeff, because I know you said you started bow hunting, right? You started bow hunting, right?
Yep.
Now, when did you switch, and what got you into tracking?
What got me into tracking? I have no clue. I was a bow hunter.
All right, have you done any tracking?
Oh, yeah. I guess what got me into tracking, it goes back, and I didn't even know I was tracking, for God's sakes, because I never followed anybody. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know anything about the tracking world or anything. But there was certain times that I would have to, follow a deer, because I knew he was over there, so I'd follow him over there and end up shooting him. Yep. I didn't know anything about sizing, aging tracks, width, stride, anything about that. But I don't know what you want me to say.
No, that was just basically it. Yeah, just kind of quick, brief thing.
Yeah.
And Rick, did you start off tracking?
Well, how I think I became a very good tracker at a young age was we used to hunt bobcats all winter, and so you're in the snow and you're looking for a fresh cat track to put the dog on every day, and you learn to read snow conditions and just thousands of hours of hunting when I was a kid and chasing bobcats on snow and looking at tracks every day before we put the dog on, and I just became really good at reading tracks, and I think that's where it started. Then once I got into buck tracking, started killing deer on snow, I just started learning that, okay, deer got these habits, and, I kind of learned trial and error, and every buck doesn't act the same, so I started learning how to leave the track and how to second guess what he was going to do next, where he was going to cross, and I'd leave the track and kind of loop him. So it was all self-taught to me.
Yep. And then, Ben, after building tree stands in every block of woods throughout the state of Maine, when did you finally get on a track?
I would join the military right out of high school, and we were sitting over in Iraq, and this guy I was talking to, he said something about the Benoits, and I never followed anybody. I watched a few of the hunting shows and stuff, but it never really piqued my interest a whole lot. And I said, who are you talking about? He said, the Benoits. And I said, I don't know. And so he said, how are you from Maine and you've never heard of the Benoits? I said, I don't know. So I called home. Next time I got a chance to call home, I said, hey, look up the Benoits. I thought they were from Maine at the time. I said, there's a book out. Send me the book over if you get a chance. Well, they didn't have a clue, and lo and behold, they sent me Hal's book instead, which was all right with me. And then, so that was my introduction to tracking right there. I'd never really heard much about it. It was just not what my family did. So that's how it all started for me. And then from there on, there was no other type of hunting that I wanted to do. I got my health. That's what I want to do, because I never sat in a tree stand anyway. I'd sit there for an hour, and my father would be in a tree stand, and he'd sit me down when we were younger, and I'd get up and I'd move around. Actually, the first deer I ever shot with him, like I said, where he hunted, I could hear the shots from the house. It was about a mile through the woods, but it was up on a hill. We were lower at the house. So I had walked. I knew where this old apple orchard was, pretty close to the house there. So I get out of my stand. I didn't walk by Dad. I made a big loop around, and it was pouring out. So I went over and I shot a deer, and I walked all the way back, got my stand. He came over to me and got me for the night, and I told him. He said, nothing, huh? I said, no, I got one dead. He said, no, you don't. I said, yeah, I do. It's over, but it's closer to the house. If we go back home, we can get to it quicker. And he couldn't even imagine that I had shot one on my feet. It's just not what they did. So that was when I read Hal's first book there. That's how I got into it. It was just, that was the style of hunting that I wanted to do, and it's been what I've done ever since.
And then, Brad, I wasn't trying to cut you off before, but I made an assumption, being the White Mountain buck tracker, that you were born tracking is what I assumed. I mean, from seeing the videos with you with your dad, you know, drinking beers after getting one on the ground, I just assumed that's how you got into it. So tell us about your background.
Yeah, so I was 8 years old. I used to do a lot of trapping with my old man. I'm from New Hampshire. We do a lot in the White Mountains. So I used to tag along with him. I got interested in the woods quite a bit. And then a few years later, I got a little older, probably around like 12. And he used to go hunting with his buddies and go all over the White Mountains. And I wanted to tag along, and it was either a love or hate deal. I used his old Chippewa boots, if you guys remember the weight of those things. And I was 12 using a size 10. And then I'd take some old wool pants, wool jacket, and I'd just tag along with him and see how he does it. And we had a lot of exciting times. I saw my first victory beer with him. And
how old are you on that victory beer?
Let's not discuss that. So, anyway.
21.
Maybe needed a little hydration. We were out of water, so. Fell in love with it there. I fell in love with everything about it. It wasn't just getting the deer. It was just being in the woods and being in love with the woods and just seeing everything going on. It could have been a blue jay, chipmunks, squirrels, bear. But definitely the deer caught my attention, you know, and just how much they appreciated it. And I just fell in love with that. And then the camaraderie about it, too. You know, all their friends and just meeting after at the tailgate, and they're telling stories of the day. And I just fell in love with that part of it. And from that point on, the bonus part was getting a deer. And as I got older, I just liked the challenge. Nothing wrong with sitting, but I just wasn't a sitter. I just can't sit still. I always wanted to know it was on the next ridge. So really like that. I like the hard work that's put into it. You know, you're sweating, you're cold, and I just love that challenge. So went from there, and here we are today. I think all of us, you know, we just really, really, really appreciate the woods and what goes into it.
Was your dad a tracker, you said?
So so from that point on, yeah, Hal, actually, it's a good point. Yeah, he was more of a still hunter, and he had to move along. But then one day, I think he went to one of your seminars somewhere along the way, grabbed some books and grabbed the DVD, and I'd see him watching it, and I'd just see these big bucks, and I was just like, yeah, I want one of those. Don't we all? So that was in my head, and I just loved the challenge of that. Yep.
Yeah, and so as far as the tracking, that's kind of how I had got into it too, is going to one of Hal's seminars. And Hal, I mean, we haven't heard from you though. Did you start off tracking? Was that how you just started right off the bat? I know we already shared our stories about our background, but for you, did you start off tracking?
Rabbits. When we was little kids there, and back in the 60s, we had a lot of snow. We got snow from November right through the winter back then. And my grandfather was a big rabbit hunter. He always had beagles, and so I'd go rabbit hunting with him, but in the meantime, you know, other than when I could go with him, when we were kids, we took our BB guns or our 22s or something. We'd track rabbits around to each other. Somebody'd stand, somebody'd track. But same like what Rick was talking about, you learned the snow conditions. And you learned what a fresh track was. And rabbits, because back then there was a lot of them in southern Maine, you had to sort tracks. Especially when if you got on a fresh one and you got it jumped, you had to sort those tracks through all the other rabbit tracks. And so that's really how I got going. And when I started hunting, my first 2 deer, I shot my first when I was 12 and then 13. And then we didn't really have any snow in southern Maine. I grew up around Portland. And then when I started hunting down to the relatives' lodge, I could go there when I was 16. And that was down on the coast of Maine. And there, once in a great while, it'd get a little snow and it wouldn't last long. So I never started tracking until I got up into the big woods after I got out of the Marine Corps. I got a job in Hannaford's in the warehouse, and I didn't have any seniority. And back then, the deer season was a week longer up north because that's where all the deer were, and it started a week early, so I could get that vacation week. I had 1 week, and that's where I just headed north and when we didn't have snow all the time then either. But from the first year I went north and hunted up there, I didn't want to hunt really anywhere else after that. And then over the years, we'd get snow, and I'd chase them around, try to figure it out. But I tell people, everybody's all, bummed out if they don't get a deer their first year or tracking or whatever. But from the time I started north, it was 7 years before I shot a buck tracking. Shot a few other bucks, but I never shot one tracking 7 years. And again, we didn't have snow all the time the week I went. But I just kept going and practicing. And once I got one, then it was the light bulb come on. Then I don't want to say it was easy, but it was easier.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, so now where we want to transition to is what a lot of people want to hear about is how did we do last season? And so I want everybody to go through and just share a few highlights, whether it's 2 or 3 or whether it's a story. Doesn't have to be, an animal that you killed, whether it was a moose, a bear, whether it was a deer hunt. It could have just been somebody that you met out in the woods and shared a great story and great experience. So for you, Lee, what are some of the highlights from your season?
Well, my season's a little bit different. There's a few of us on the team here that are guides, and I've been very fortunate for the last 25 years. I've made my living guiding people hunting. So, we bought another guy's business. So last year was our first. I mean, we've shot some bears and done some bear hunting, but last year was our first real year with a big bear business, and it was successful. We're hoping to improve on it this year, and we had a lot of crazy stuff happen. I ended up dragging a guy out of the woods in a jet sled. He had a stroke, and I was really nervous, about getting him out, and then I was nervous that his family might sue us or something, but I'd like to think that most people in the hunting community are good people. And in the end, his family was so grateful. He would have died if the guy weighed 250 pounds. I had to pick him up and put him in a jet sled and drag him out. So we got him down to, they life flighted him in a helicopter to Maine General, and he lived. So that was the highlight of our bear season. Was nothing about killing a bear. It was about saving a guy's life. And then in moose season, I usually try to book 10 moose hunters every year, and all of our clients got moose last year. We got some really nice ones, but everybody got a moose. And then deer season was the 2 highlights really for me. Wasn't even my clients, but I've got a young daughter she's going moose hunting with me this year. But last year she got a doe permit, and it's like the second year in Maine you could shoot a doe and then still hunt bucks. Well, she was tickled to death. She shot a 150-pound doe, which even in Maine is a big one. Then three days later, she shot a big 8-point buck, and so she had a great season, and that made my season. And then with the clients, the highlight, they're actually wandering around here today. I had me and 2 other guys. We tracked a big buck the last 3 days of muzzleloader season. We tracked him for 3 days straight, and then on the very last day, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the last day. Big, huge buck, huge track, huge rack. We saw him 2 or 3 times, just couldn't get one into him. And at 3 o'clock on the last day, he jumped up out of his bed, and when he hit the ground, both of his antlers fell right off his head. If anybody wants to see it, it's a beautiful. It's like 150-inch, 10-point. So we never killed him. The good thing is we're gonna kill him this year. So.
And you got his antlers.
And we got his antlers, yeah.
As you all know, Big Woods Bucks is devoted to promoting the best equipment for tracking and still hunting the big woods. Part of that equation for success is the sights that sit on your hunting rifle. We've chosen Skinner Sights as the company to produce our custom-built BWB Tracker Series peep sight. It's constructed of solid steel, has our custom ghost ring, and was co-developed by some of the best trackers in the world. To get yours, go to bigwoodsbucks.com and click on the Optics tab.
Pine State Armory in Skowhegan is your ultimate destination for hunting and outdoor gear. Located at 338 Madison Avenue, we're more than just a store, we're family. Nick and Jess and their friendly dogs, Bailey and Ruby, are always ready to greet you. Pine State Armory is a family-friendly store where safety meets expertise. Your kids are always welcome, and if you're new to the sport, we're here to help with gear recommendations and the knowledge and information you need to get started right. Looking to buy, sell, or trade firearms, whether new or used, we have what you need. And to those who serve our country, we're proud to offer a military discount as a token of our appreciation. Visit us today at Pine State Armory, 338 Madison Avenue, Unit 8 in Skowhegan, and experience the great outdoors like never before.
Hey folks, Rick Labby here from Big Woods Bucks. I'm here today to tell you about our new packs. This is our new small pack, which the first time I saw it, Chris showed it to me and I said, that's the nooner, because that's the perfect pack if I'm getting on a buck track at noon. And it'll hold a sandwich, your water, a little bit of gear. It's virgin wool, made in USA, waterproof resistant, has a liner on the inside. It's a great pack. This pack, this is our newest large pack, which when I used to carry the older pack, I always wore suspenders because it bothered my hips a little bit. So we designed one with shoulder straps, and this is a great pack. It takes the weight off your hips, puts it onto your shoulders. It's got a GPS pouch right here in the top you slide in. Same deal, it's water resistant on the inside, got that liner. It's a perfect pack. So I go to bigwoodsbucks.com, get yours today, and I'll see you on the track.
Hey, Hal here. Just wanted to tell you we're excited about our partnership with Minus 33. Minus 33 specialized merino wool base layers for outdoor enthusiasts, from tops and bottoms to hats, socks, gloves. And our gear is going to keep you warm and comfortable no matter what adventure you're on, especially those big woods ones. We're a fifth-generation family, owned and operated, a New Hampshire woolen textile manufacturer. They have over 106 years of woolen expertise, and they started manufacturing woolen socks, the Mountain Heritage ones, in New Hampshire in 2018, with the idea that a quality product, affordable pricing, and can be worn and loved from season to season, no matter what your experience level or skill is, so no one should feel uncomfortable or ill-prepared in the outdoor community. Having a reliable gear is one of the first steps towards a lifetime of passion or whatever activity it is. And my caveat to that is you got to wear your woolies. Cotton is death. Hey, Hal here. Finally got some good news for all you. Our jackets are finally in. It's been a long process, but we got them done and got them right with all our new features and stuff in them. So some of the new features we added was a game pouch in the back you can access from inside with dividers in it. It's just like the original one. Mine's the original one, not the new one. It's got your slash front pockets where you can get in and get at your GPS or whatever you carry in your front ones. They're all lined with, the pockets are lined with Microtech fleece, so it's nice and warm on your hands when you put it in. Microtech's fleece. Got your slash pockets here. Just 100% wool, virgin wool. I think it's 100% virgin wool, but it's 85% wool with some nylon to make it stronger. Tight woven. And the vest, I don't have the vest on it. The vest snaps on, your orange cape comes with it. And we're going to have the green checkered jackets come in 22-ounce wool, and we have plain green, forest green, same color as our pants that are coming, and those are in 18-ounce, a lighter wool, so you can have a 3-season jacket or a 4-seasons jacket. And the pants will be coming in a couple weeks, and just in time for deer season. So get them ordered up and we'll get them shipped right out to you. Good luck on the trail.
All right, Jeff, you had an amazing season this year, so tell us a little bit about your season.
Well, first of all, I want to do a retake on how I got into it, so I'm going to do that. So, because you kind of hit it on the head. For me, it's that how I how I was introduced to tracking was by failure. And as a bow hunter my whole entire life, it's always been about shot placement, 30 yards, and just waiting for the optimum shot. So I've always had the love to hike in the woods and just go, and I was never afraid of the woods at all. I would just go for hours and hours and hours, and back then we didn't have any GPSs. You used the sun a lot, and you know, compasses and maps and so on and so forth. I used to hunt in this one range, and it was quite a ways out there. And we had got like probably, and I knew the deer were always in that area, and it was, I used to hike out there, and I would always go on the back side of this mountain, and one particular time it snowed out that day, and I happened to have a gun, you know, my gun on me, because I was going to go out there and mill around, and the buck come down off the mountain, and I decided, well, I'm gonna follow the thing. So I started following this buck. I had no idea what size he was. I had no clue. I just knew he was a bigger buck just because of the size of his track and a little bit of the width. So I started following him, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, he stopped, and he was feeding on some old mushroom browse and a little bit of browse underneath the snow, and he put his head down, and he left these two big marks on either side, which is his outside of his antlers. I knew immediately he was a wide buck. I'm going, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm just going to keep following. I knew it was fresh snow because I could tell. I put my hand down in there, and I didn't know how to age a track or anything like that, but I knew it was fresh snow, and the tracks were crispy clear. So I knew that I wasn't that far behind him, and I figured I'd follow through. So just by natural instinct for me, I was ready. I had my gun up, ready to go, and I was shooting a Jamalotti. You know, everybody knows what a Jamalotti is. So, and I was kind of peeking along and just looking around, and I got down this old cut trail, and there was a lot of browse in the middle of it, and he was kind of skirting the old cut trail, and he was kind of, you know, I remember this, he was just kind of meandering around, going back and forth. I had no idea that they did this. I only learned all this after the fact. So he got to a small, low hemlock brush, and he stopped right on top of it, and he took a leak, and he just like I just remember this like it was yesterday. You ever see a goat pee, and they pee all over themselves, and they get the scent going, and they shake? He had just urine all over the place, and I thought that was it reminded me of a goat, and it was the coolest thing I've ever seen to this day in the woods. I've never seen anything like that. So I'm looking at this thing, and I just took a couple steps, and I'm looking back, and I turned around, and he was like 40 yards from me. He blew up out. He was laying right in the middle of that trail in that whippets, and off he goes. And he had just a beautiful white rack, probably 24, 26 inches wide, and he's just bounding away like this. And I'm just sitting there watching him going, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Not even care about picking my gun up, and I should have picked it up because I probably could have hit him 8 times. And off he went. So I just immediately ran over there, looked at where he was bedded down, and I thought that was the neatest thing. He was bedded right there in front of me, and off he jumped the creek, and I followed him. I went right across the creek. I got soaking wet, and he went into this thick hemlock, and I just followed him in there, and I stopped, and I just waited and waited. I don't know why I waited. I took another step, and he was no more than 20 yards in front of me, and I heard him blow off. Then I just started chasing him, and I went through that hemlock. I got soaking wet. I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't have anything. Finally, I chased him for probably a couple hours. No idea what I was doing, and I came out of the woods. I basically had enough. I was soaking wet, and I had enough. So I knew, like you said, the light bulb kicked on. I'm going, this is different. You know, I've never experienced this as a bow hunter. So I started asking questions, and one of my buddies said, you ever met, you know Hal Blood? I said, no, I've never met him my entire life. So he brought I think it was your first video. You were sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, first, and I watched it, and I'm going, wow, this guy's just low keyed, you know, just, you know, it's like, wow, he's just
Flatliner.
Yeah, flatliner, and I'm going, and you said something that just resonated with me. Wait a half an hour and eat a sandwich, right? And I know deer habit, and that just resonated with me, and there was something to that, and because I've seen so many deer in the woods, and I kind of know what they're gonna do, what they are, and there's a point where if you ever jump them, they go out, and they need time to calm down because they have no idea what's going on, and at that point, I knew there was something new to the game, and I asked the question. There has to be three things that I did wrong. What are the most three important things that I did wrong? And I started learning. I learned that you got to stop and wait, right? Which was a whole new concept. The other thing is don't give up. I gave up. I gave up because I got wet and I got cold. And the other thing was one of the biggest things that I learned is that, and I read this in Larry Benoit had said this in one of the magazines, and he said, you shoot and don't stop shooting. And that was my first mistake. I should have shot.
That's a great story, Jeff. I mean, for a first track, there was a lot that happened there and a lot of great points.
It was by chance. And, you know, you learn, and I've always said this in kind of the seminars, you learn by failure, but failure is success.
Yep.
So that's how I kind of,
that's
the light bulb kicked on.
Well, that's a great first story, and I'm really glad that you shared it. And so obviously I want to hear about your season, but then because we are in a time constraint too, we don't really have the time for stories, so I want to let everybody else get a chance too. But thanks for sharing that. But just for your season, 'cause you had a great season. Just to tell everybody kind of quickly, it's like, I mean, what'd you end up making happen this season?
Well, I traveled to Alabama, and I could have shot some deer down there, but I waited. You know, I had more fun trying to figure them out and getting to where I needed to be. I passed up on a lot of deer down there. We went to South Dakota.
Yeah.
Rick and I, we had it was a lot of fun up there hunting with him. You know, him and I, we knew what we were gonna do.
Video. There's a video coming out pretty quick.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
He shoots a smasher muley, and it's great hunting with your buddies and being around that and being to share the stories, even though that, you know, everybody thinks that we're really good at it, but we're just kind of humble guys. But being with your buddies is really cool.
And do you have any other success?
Then Maryland was a blast.
Yep.
That was definitely an eye opener. Hunting the sick deer down there in the frag swamp. That was a lot of fun.
You hunt Illinois too?
That. What's that?
Do you hunt Illinois too?
Yeah, Illinois.
You got anything out there?
Yeah, I shot a nice one out there. It was the first time ever in the saddle. You know, you guys had me in that thing. I was like, holy crap, this ain't swinging around in the saddle.
Hey, you made it happen. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I think saddles have their place, and I looked at it's not an everyday thing for me. But if I didn't have that saddle, I wouldn't have been able to got that big buck that I shot because I only had one spot, one tree to be in, and I couldn't get any other type of platform in there, and that saddle made the whole difference. So,
that's great. Yeah, there's all kinds of different tools that you can use to be successful, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I just got to keep open-minded.
Yep.
You know?
All right, well, Rick.
Yeah, I had a good season last year. I started off in Maine. I started off in Maine deer hunting. Before that, I bow hunted in Wyoming, and I killed a nice 6x6 with my bow. My buddy killed a nice 6x6 with his bow. Moved on from there, and Maine season came, and
elk.
What's that?
6x6.
Yeah, 6x6 elk.
You didn't say that.
And moved on. Yeah, made a difference. So moved on from there and killed the buck the second day in Maine season. And as much as I like to track my whole life, I love following a track. That's just me. And you ask my wife, I just love to track deer. And shooting that deer the second day was a letdown for me because I just kind of walked up to it and went, man, my season's over. And I love to find big buck tracks and follow big buck tracks and figure them out. And I really like following a big buck for days.
Well, after that, though, you got to hunt with your family, right?
What's that?
You weren't done after that. You got to hunt with family and friends.
Yeah, I did. So after that, my dad and I went to Saskatchewan. We killed two great big bucks in Saskatchewan. And from Saskatchewan, I flew straight down to South Dakota, hunted with Jeff. He shot a big whitetail, and I shot a big muley. My son-in-law shot a big deer, Levi, and Todd shot a nice buck. Yeah, then from there, let's see, I went to Iowa, killed a big 10-pointer in Iowa, and I think that video's coming out too. And went to Iowa, then Nancy and I went to South Dakota. Jeff was in South Dakota, weren't you too, with us? I mean, Nebraska. That was Nebraska. So I went to Nebraska, and then from there I went to Arizona, and I killed a big muley with my bow in Arizona. So I killed five bucks and 1 elk in 6 states. So
it's a pretty good season, Jeff.
6 for 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes so many places you can't keep it straight.
Sometimes you can't.
All right, well, Big Ben Allen, what about you?
Yeah, I don't have that same problem as Rick.
Yes.
Most of us don't.
The highlight of my season was the second week of November. I was guiding for Hal. My first week guy, we got a shot at a buck, and he missed it and stuff, but it wasn't a real big buck. And then on Thursday, I believe it was a Thursday of the second week, we had no snow on the ground at all, and we started off Thursday morning with no snow on the ground, and all of a sudden this little snowstorm came through and dumped about 2 or 3 inches. And so we sat down and had lunch, and when we were sitting down having lunch, it really started coming down. So we finished up, and we said, all right, let's just go up here. I want to go up. I've never been up on this certain ridge there, so let's just go up and check that out. So we go up there, and by that time, the snow, it came down quick, and it was gone. But it dumped, like I said, 2 or 3 inches, and so we're going up that hill, and if we weren't at that grade, I don't know if I would have ever seen it, but I could see that there was just barely some pock marks in the snow, and I could tell it had a wide stance, and you almost couldn't tell if the deer had walked in the leaves and then the snow covered it up. So I was a little bit unsure, and I told the guy that was with me, I said, I think that was made during the snow just a couple hours ago. And I don't know if he believed me or not, but up ahead I could see this little beech tree that had just been ripped to shreds. So I go up and I just peeled the snow back at the base of that tree, and all the shavings were in the snow. And I said, oh man, we're right behind this buck. So, and it was just one of those tracking jobs that you hope for. That every single time you get on one, that you're hoping that it would go like this. He did everything you wanted him to do. He'd go up and he found this one patch of raspberry bushes there, and he stayed there, and he ate, and when he came out of that patch of raspberry bushes, the track was different on the other side of it, and it was only a matter of 20, 30 feet around. But I could tell that the track was way fresher even on the other side of it. Still had snow in it. He started climbing up, and he went to the top of the hill, and he did the same thing. He started pawing around the ground. When he left that spot, the tracks were even fresher. We're getting less and less snow in it. So I turned around and told the guy, I said, you pay attention, we're going to just keep up, we're going to catch this deer this afternoon. So this time it was probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, let's just stay on him. And we did, and it was another hour and a half later. We had that buck getting up out of his bed, and he shot. And I don't want to embarrass him because he's probably listening, but he shot quite a few times and at a broadside, and the buck was huge, and we never got it. But it was the highlight of my season because you just don't get to see those that often, and it worked. Everything was perfect. Right before we saw the deer, I turned around and said, he's going to be here. Pay attention. We're coming out into this brand new fresh cut. I said, he's going to be here. And it wasn't 20 feet later. I said, there he is right there. And he was getting up out of his bed, and just that picture in my mind was worth the whole season right there. That buck surprised by us. I was surprised by him, and then to see him go out a long ways, broadside, right in the wide open, it was fun.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad at all. It's happened to every one of us. Those big bucks have more lives than a cat.
That's what I told him. Actually, he said, well, he said, we'll have snow tomorrow. He said, I'll make sure I hit the one tomorrow. So I was thinking, we'll do this again tomorrow. And then it was a wake-up call for him he'd never tracked deer before, and I understand it. And we got on a track, and that next day, it was nothing like that few-hour track job that we had. It was a miserable track. It was long, through thick stuff, and at the end of the day, he realized the opportunity that he had the day before, which, it's all part of it, right? It happens, but that was the highlight of my season, probably.
That's awesome.
Ben's the most unluckiest guy they have. Because
yeah, thanks.
He puts more hunters in front of a big buck than I've ever seen, more than I do. And they never come through.
I think I was trying to tally up the number of shots that people have fired since I've started working for you, and it's a lot. It's over a box of shells. There's no doubt about it.
I thought I'd seen a lot of big ones get away, but Ben's seen a few too. He's finding deer. He can sniff them out, Big Ben. Don't worry.
All right, Mikey, what about you?
Oh, am I in this?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get to tell my tracking story, did I? You guys were all waiting for it, and I got blew over.
Well, you were the one that got us on that topic, actually.
Oh, that's how come I didn't
that's how
get
it came
asked?
up. That's why I skipped Brad, because you mentioned the tracking. I wanted to come back to everybody else. But,
Hell, I like it when you do it better.
I got to keep Neil and Mike separate a little bit.
That's why we got them on either end.
Hey, are the two guys from that hunted up by Slide down here? Are they? Where are you guys? Because Ben turned them on to a place to go, and they both killed bucks. So he does kill them, just different ways. But he sent two guys, and I've been talking to them, and they both killed bucks, and Ben turned them on. So, yeah, this guy's a magnet over here. He really is. He's also a giant. If you need a dragger, here he is. Okay. Yeah, I guided the first week. And we had a blizzard on Monday, right? Yeah, we had a blizzard on Monday of the first week, which is very unusual in Maine, in recent years. And because Rick paid the price, he killed his deer on the second day, right, Rick? And we don't get much snow in the first week anymore, So anyway, I guided the first week, and we had that blizzard, and there was snow during the first week, and I had a nice guy from New Hampshire with me, and we didn't put it together. He saw a deer, and he actually grunted one in, but the buck wouldn't come all the way in for him on Friday. And the snow was dwindling, but he called one in, and while he was hunting, I called two in the same day. So we finished up our season, he and I, and I knew on Monday of the second week where I wanted to be. But we had absolutely no snow. Could have mowed your lawn. The snow was gone. So I went into where he and I was hunting, and I knew the deer were coming down off this one bluff, and they were pretty predictable where they were coming out at night there. So I was humping up the road. I wanted to get up there in the dark. So I was humping up the road pretty good, and I could hear some deer running, and so I thought because naturally I thought I jumped them, but I didn't. They were up there chasing. There was a buck up there chasing some does around. So I really hustled down the road. I ran down the road, which is hard when you're 71, but I did it anyway. And I got down there, and there was a place where there was some rubs in a spot, and I was telling Hal the story about, there's a big sign posted, and Hal knew right where it was. So I got down around them, and when I was humping, I heard one bleat. So when I got down to where I wanted to be, when I figured I kind of got around them, and I waited, so I grunted, and I could still hear him once in a while, and I grunted again, and I'm in the calling a lot more now than I used to. By the way, I'm a little slow on the track now, so I like to call now, and it's been real successful. My last 4 bucks have been caught from calling or that something to do with calling. But anyway, so I got around them good, and I started grunting, and I bleated a little, and didn't really think anything was going on Well, then I looked up in the woods and I could see him coming, and because I just saw a deer, right? And I see the deer coming down, then it was standing there, and I could see it moving, and so I just naturally thought it was feeding. I said, "Oh, the deer's feeding in there," and I kept watching, and because we just got our 360 buck hammers, I just got it, so I wanted to use it pretty bad, so. Then I kept watching, and I'm watching, and finally the deer come a little further and got over by the signpost that I was just telling you about, and he started doing it while he was rubbing a tree, huh? I couldn't tell the first time because he really weren't in good view. The second time he started rubbing, I could see him. He's right, he was 83 paces. And when he rubbed that tree, and he wasn't the biggest buck in the world, but I'm not into the biggest bucks in the world now. I want to get my deer. I'm old, and I want to finish up pretty good, And so anyway, he was rubbing the tree when I hit him the first shot, and then I jacked another one in, and he went down, but he got up, and he started to go, and I fired at him, and I fired a third shot, and I dumped him pretty good there, and he went down, and that was the end of it. And so I went over, and I was pretty happy to get one with the buck hammer. I was the first Big Woods buck guy to get one with the buck hammer. The other guys did after, and he wasn't the biggest buck in the whole world, but I was quite a ways up in there. So pay attention to this one. This is a funny one. So in Jackman, Maine, it's a little different up there, isn't it? And it's a little town with a very few people, and we're all friends, blah, 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 blah. My wife's the cook at the school. I wasn't dragging that deer out, okay? No way. So I had cell coverage where I was, because I was, I don't know, can't be 400 yards from Canada up there, huh? Right on the border, eh? So my phone works. I called my wife. I knew she was serving breakfast at the school. So I called my wife and said, "Hey, honey," I said, "is Cooper there?" She goes, "What?" I said, "Is Cooper in the breakfast line?" He was a young kid at the school that played basketball, and he also did chores for me. So she goes, "Yeah, he's standing right in front of me. Tell him to go to mile 6 of the Holub Road. Tell him to get in his pickup and go to mile 6 of the Holub Road."
Wait, hold on. I thought we don't name roads.
Huh?
I thought we don't name roads.
Why?
Mike's the only one that hunts.
I tell where I hunt. I tell where I fish. I don't play that game. I don't play that game.
So I thought it was over in Rangeley, no?
Yeah. So anyway, I was in Arizona. No. So anyway, I went down to mile 6 with my truck, and I met Coop, and he also brought another kid from the basketball team with him. So I dumped him in my truck, and I took him up, and they dragged my deer out for me. And only in Jackman, Maine can you do that. I'm telling you right now. When's the last time you heard of that stuff? When I call the school, get a dragger. So I always like to tell that part of the story because I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, so I got my buck, and I'm about 165, 170. But I was just as happy, and I'm just as proud to do that at my age. I'm not a young buck like Labby. What's his name? Rick. I'm not a young buck.
Catching up with you.
And the guys like Ben, but it's still the biggest love I have next to my family. It's chasing bucks and being with these guys, huh? It's a lot of fun, and I've been with Hal for we're close to 30 years now. I worked for him for 25 years, so I never gonna do anything else other than what I'm doing right now. I guarantee you. So that's my story of last year.
That's a great story, and we were damn happy when you got that buck, too. I mean, that put a smile on everybody's face, Mike.
Yeah, and thank you for letting me talk, Neil.
All right, well, now that Mike's done.
So, my year was I call it the year of the does. It was a year of frustration for me. It's been a while since I've gone without a deer, probably like 10 years. And some important lessons came from that, and I think everybody can take from is I hunted my butt off. I'm still dealing with a nerve condition on my toe from doing it, but I wouldn't Wouldn't trade it in for anything. I had some good experiences. I heard my first buck growl. That was pretty cool. Benny and I were just talking about that. And 23 does hunting national forest and not a buck following it. And it amazed me. And so the important thing was day after day, I just kept getting after it. Rain, snow, sleet. You got to get off the couch and get after it. You just never quit. So I kept getting after it. And at the end of the year, it was last day in Maine, I had a spike horn come up to me, probably from here to kneel. And I just said, you know what? That's not what I'm after. And you guys do, I feel it's your tag. You do what you want to do with your tag. You know, what excites you, right? And that was exciting to me. I had fun that day, but it just wasn't meant to be for me. So I just watched him, and I watched him walk off, and I had a good day. And the important message of that, too, is, we're all on social media, and you see all these other people on social media. And I think it's really important for you to know that happens more often than you think. You know, you see me next year with a picture, hopefully, of a big buck. Guess what? Maybe I got lucky, you know? So just remember that. You know, have fun, enjoy it. The deer's a bonus, you know? I'm still going to keep getting after them, but have fun, enjoy the camaraderie that these guys are talking about with your family and friends, and that's it. I got to go to a seminar.
Well, hold on. Before you go, we're gonna start with you then. What are your goals? Because this is a perfect transition. After the season you had last year, I'm sure you started thinking a lot about this upcoming season. Because I know you're probably itching to get back out there.
I am absolutely.
So what do you got for goals?
My goal is to shoot big buck in New Hampshire and a big buck in Maine, and just never quit. It's that simple. Persistence. Just keep getting after it every day. That's my goal.
All right. Well, thanks, Brad. And Brad's going to be taking off, so let's hear it for Brad.
Anybody want to arm wrestle? Brad's got one in him.
All right. Well, then, so now we're going to keep going the way we've been going. So, Lee, what do you got for goals coming up for this season in 2024?
Oh, my goals may be a little bit different than other people's, but it's my goals. So I started Shands' Guide Service 25 years ago. And when Hal asked me to be part of Big Woods Bucks, which was probably 20 years ago, old guide Mike and I are the original members. We've been here for all of it. I always wanted to make sure that Shands' Guide Service was a good representation, and that being part of Big Woods Bucks, I never wanted to do anything to bring it down. I just wanted it to be something that Big Woods Bucks could be proud of. So that's my goal, to again make sure that Shands' Guide Service provides people with good bear hunts, good moose hunts, and good deer hunts. Then my second goal is, my son works for me now. We just started the business, that he's running. He's my business partner, but last year was our first year. I want him to have a easier year this year than last year. I'm going to do everything I can to put him in a position to be successful. And again, that'll be a representation of Big Woods Bucks and our commitment to them. Then thirdly, my daughter got a moose permit. I have 3 daughters. I tried to introduce all of them to hunting. Stephen took right to it like I did. But my 2 older daughters, I took them hunting. They didn't care about it. That's fine. I do other things with them. But my youngest daughter loves to hunt. She's got a moose permit this year. And Daddy's going to make sure he does everything he can to make sure that she gets a big bull. And then my personal goals for myself is I would really like to, we had a big buck that we chased. I told you the story. We chased that big buck for 3 days and got his antlers. But I would really like to get that buck this year. And also something that I'm proud of, old guide Mike and I, we got a thing from Big Woods a month or so ago, and it was something that meant a lot to me. And I just want to make sure that I'm a good example. We have a lot of young guys on the team now, and I love them. They're my kids' age, and I want to do everything I can to be a good example to them, and hopefully I can shoot a big buck they're proud of.
Those are great goals. All right, well, thanks, Lee. So, Jeff?
I mean, I'm going to do, I think 6 states this year, but other than what I'm going to do, my number one goal is I really want to help my wife. Last year, she hunted her butt off. And she's such a hardcore woman. She was out there in the middle of snowstorms, rainstorm. I'm out in other states and texting her, calling her, seeing how she's doing. And she really had a hard time last year. And it wasn't for not trying. It was just it was a feel-good moment for me, you know, seeing women out there. And it's so my goal this year is just to help her be successful and help her achieve her goals, because she's such a good woman. So then my second goal is actually what you said last night. And how long you been asking me to get up there? And that was kind of humbling. 5 years, is it? Yeah, I've always hunted up in that northern range, but Hal asked me last night. I was on the phone talking to Joe Cruzy, and he kind of just approached me. He says, "Hey," and just a kind of a somber voice, and actually it's kind of more like a friend voice. It was kind of humbling. He says, "Hey, when you gonna come up and hunt with us?" And you know, as you walked away, we kind of briefly talked, as we do as kind of the elder statesmen. We have our own little thing going, and I just took that kind of to heart. And he's been asking me for quite a while, so that's my number 2 goal: to get up there and kind of kick around with these guys and get in them woods up there and hunt hard, you know, just as friends and just to hunt, you know, because I think that is important when you hunt with your buddies and your friends. Even though, you know, we all do what we do, but we get along so well with each other, joke around. We're constantly, I mean, I know I'm breaking everybody's Aggies quite a bit, but it just, we get along great as friends, and that's kind of important for me, and that's kind of my second goal. So that's where I'm at.
Well, yeah, and that's where I know a lot of us that have been successful, we've hunted, you know, solo a lot of times throughout our lives, and so that camaraderie and going up to Lake Parlin Lodge and being up there, it's something special.
Yeah,
so,
just being with everybody, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear the stories from all the guides up there, even with their frustrations, but to hear those stories when you come back, I mean, I don't know how many guys are there, but, you know, I feel like 20 different stories every single day. It's like a whole season worth of stories right there every night that you come back. So it's a special place, and yeah, it's a great goal to get up there.
Yeah, we don't compete with anybody. I mean, we hear the stories out there, and we're happy for everybody. We don't compete against each other. We're there just to have a good time. You know, it's kind of humbling. You know, so.
Well, that's great, Jeff. Well, Rick, what do you got for goals?
Well, I'm headed to Wyoming on September 5th and on a bow hunt. So hopefully I'll run into a big bull out there somewhere up in the wilderness. And then I'm coming back home, and I've got a friend of mine that's he's about 70 this year, that's hunted with me for 30 years. He's never killed a big bull, so my goal is to go back out with him in rifle season and just hunt with him and help him get a bull, and because that'll probably be the last time he'll draw and last time he'll be able to do it again, because it's getting tougher and tougher to draw a tag now out west in some of these states. So go out and hunt with him, help him have a successful hunt, and then come home, and I don't know, I've got 5, 6, 7 states I'm going to hunt this fall. And
that's it?
Yeah, that's enough. So my wife's going with me to Nebraska, and hopefully we'll have a good hunt out there. And I like hunting with friends and family, you know. It makes the trip go by much better, you know, than doing stuff on my own all the time. Lee Libby and I, we're going to Saskatchewan together this year, so that ought to be fun. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Big Ben, what about you? What do you got for goals?
Oh, so I think a lot like Lee and Jeff there, my daughter's 10 years old, and so coming right up here, we've been baiting bear up in Maine. She wants to shoot a bear this year, so that's going to be my number 1 goal coming right up, is to get her a bear. And then then a deer, of course, after that. But for my own personal goals, I've had this streak going in Maine for a while now. I don't even know how many years exactly, but I've always had this thing that I've got to shoot a buck. To keep that streak going, I got to keep it going. And I've settled for bucks that I've made mistakes and shot bucks that were a lot smaller than I was hoping they were, but I've settled a few times. I shot some nice bucks when it worked out, but this year I think I don't. Last year kind of cured me of that. I shot a buck. It was a nice buck. It was a decent buck. I was happy with it, but I wasn't at the same time because I settled. And so this year my goal is to not settle and just shoot what I want to shoot. I want to shoot a big one here in Maine. I'd like to shoot my first one in New Hampshire and then another one down in Massachusetts, and we'll see what happens. But that's my goal, is to not settle and just shoot whatever, just to keep that streak going.
So Big Ben Allen's going to shoot some big bucks.
I don't even care about big bucks in New Hampshire or Massachusetts. My main goal is to shoot one in Maine that's over 200, and then I'll worry about the rest of the states as they come. I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself there. But
all right, Mikey, what about you?
Well, I want to touch on a couple things that the boys talked about down here. Is that, you know, this is a family up here. It really is. We're buddies. We joke with each other. We have a good time, but our wives tolerate a lot. Okay, they do. I mean, it's not intended or anything like that. But you know, if 8 clients missed bucks when you came home from work, what do you know, right? You got to tell your wife about it. Don't get mad at me, but okay. So, but anyway, we're a family up here, and it just has become a huge part of my life. Is Big Woods Bucks. My son's in Big Woods Bucks now, just like Steven, Lee's boy is, and he's on a roll. I don't even know. I can't even remember the last time he didn't shoot a buck. He's 30 years old, and he's on a roll, and he shot some big ones, big drop time ones. Shot a big 6 last year, he killed a big one that we call the mule deer. But I mean, he's become part of this, and my goal is that he steps up and gets accepted by you people like we have. Okay. And don't worry, he'll shoot some bucks. You'll have a reason to like him just like you will Steven and Rylan and Sammy. These young guys that we got. These guys are going to kill some big bucks, and you guys will be part of it. And another thing is that a few years ago I suffered 4 heart attacks, and they air flighted me to Bangor. First 2 people there, who do you think it was? Hal and Chris. Come in the hospital, lied to the doctors, told them they were my brothers. So they got in to see me, huh? That was pretty cool, and I'll never forget that. And I kind of get choked up with it a little bit when I talk about it. But anyway, so this year I did some serious scouting in the spring, and I've been looking for this spot that I found. I for some reason I couldn't go back to it and find the signpost. So I went in this spring, and we've told you people enough. That's when you should do most of your scouting, is right after, like right around the first of turkey season is about the best time to scout deer as far as I'm concerned. Excuse me. So when I went up looking for the place, I found a better spot, and I had a lot of buck signs. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to go up there and kill one. So. And that's another thing. If you don't think you're going to kill a deer when you go in the woods, don't go. Okay, go play golf. So anyway, those are my goals, and some of them are family, and some of them this family, and the other one is I'm going to go up on that mountain, and I'm gonna kill a big buck up there, and I hope he doesn't take me too far. But as long as the kids are in school, I'll be okay. Anyway, thank you, Neil.
No, thank you, Mike. I mean, really, it's like, the love that you have for us, the love that we have for you, the love that the fans have, and the support from all of you guys is what make this all worth it. And Huntstock really is the greatest place to come to share all this stuff, to tell the stories, to feel the support, to feel the love. and really to see these torches get passed on to the other people, to keep these stories going, because we're all friends, we're all family here, but we're a community. So thank you all for coming out. And Hal, I want you to bring us home. So after all that, I mean, hearing from old guide Mike, I mean, I'm choked up here because it was pretty inspirational, and hearing everyone's goals and just seeing all the people here and the enthusiasm. And I want you to bring us home, Hal. What do you got for us?
First off, you are our brother, Mike. Yeah, we're a good family here. I get choked up about it, too, because me and Mikey go way back. And he's had my back, I've had his for a long time. Can't separate that.
I always let him go through the woods first because he knocks the cobwebs down. That's a brother.
Yeah, Mikey still calls me boss. He asks everybody when he's looking for me, he says, "Where's boss?" or "See you later, boss," when we talk on the phone. So, anyway, but the rest of these guys are too. We're just, like I said, a family. And I guess my goal would be just to be the leader that I can keep everybody going. You know what I mean? Inspiration is, that's what I'd say. I don't need to shoot any more bucks. I'm going to. I got my goal to get my 20 bucks since I said it when I was 60, to kill 20 more until by the time I was 80, and 67 now, but I'm up to 8, so I'm doing pretty good. So, and then the rest of my goal is just get my grandson Rylan. He wants to be a guide. I got to train him, work with him, and help him with whatever he wants to do. That's the important thing to me. So, that being said, I guess we got to wrap it up here. We're probably a little old. Oh, yeah.
Come on over, Rylan. You're part of this family.
He gets a little shy sometimes, but...
Come on over, Gary.
We got to get him used to it, Hal.
All right, you stand right there and talk to him, honey.
About what?
Well, your goals for this season, how about that?
What do you got for goals, Rylan? What are you going to do in 2024?
Shoot a bigger deer than he does.
I like it.
Go sit down.
Hopefully a 200-pounder, but basically a better buck than I did last year. Just keep moving up and try hard and keep going.
All right.
That's great, Rylan.
Any bear in there or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Just started baiting the bears a couple weeks ago and got a big one last year. I don't know if I can top it, but I'm going to try.
All right. How big was that one?
344.
Yeah, he's going to try to
It's a
top
big
that.
one for Maine.
Yeah, really? Yeah, that's what's right. Oh, yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, Grammy said, my wife, Deb, she just shakes her head. She goes, he's mini you. He's just like you. She'll send, the gals, I don't know, maybe not all of you, but my wife does. I get these texts that are like, I got to scroll down, then you hit the view all to finish it, I get those texts. Well, she'll do the same thing with Rylan, and he'll answer back, yep, nope, okay. That's the response. Drives her. But that's the same thing I do. I didn't teach him to do that. It's just, I don't know, maybe something's rubbed off. I don't know.
I don't know if you ever text Hal, right, be prepared, because he'll sit there and I'll text him, hey, what are you doing, what's going on with that? He goes, yep. One word or 2 words.
I'd rather pick up the phone and talk to anybody. When I see somebody keep trying to text, I just hit the phone.
Yeah, you do that. You call them.
And hit the phone, and I'd rather do that. So, but anyways, I guess we're done. We all got our goals. It's going to come quick because we started bear baiting, and that turns right into fall, and away we'll go. So, till next time, good luck on the trail.
Thanks.
Hey guys, Joe here. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lake Parlin Lodge. We're a 4-season lodge located just south of Jackman. We've got cabins, lodge rooms, mini lodge. We're a big snowmobile destination in the winter, full restaurant, bar, all the amenities that you need for your trip. Open all obviously through the summer, right on the lake. Kayaks, canoes, all included with the cabin. We also do a lot of weddings, so if you're looking for a destination wedding, we can do a wedding up to 200 people. And of course, we've got our hunting season, moose season, deer season. So check us out. We're at lakeparlinlodge.com.
Hi everyone, team member Mark Sheeran here. Are you or someone you know struggling with a drug or alcohol problem, but you don't want to go to rehab or 12-step meetings? Well, that's exactly why we created our non-12-step Freedom Model Coaching Program. In our program, you can be coached by me and Michelle Dunbar through our in-house 2-day addiction solution workshop, or if you want to stay home, you can be coached through video conferencing on Zoom. Both options are powerful and proven effective. We've personally coached more than 27,000 people over the last 34 years. With the Freedom Model, you won't have any record of being treated for an addiction either. This is a huge benefit for those with professional licenses, or who are high profile, or simply who have a lot to lose with such a damaging label. If you're ready to change your life and solve your addiction for good, call me directly at 888-424-2626 and set up your free 30-minute coaching session today. I look forward to helping you. And here's that number again, 888-424-2626. Take care.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, good luck on the trail.